Takes a second.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, live show number 220, being broadcasted, simulcasted on Facebook, YouTube, and now officially LinkedIn, with my special co-host, Lily Mockerman. And early to the game, I should say, also Mr. Edward St. Onge, one of my frequent co-hosts. But Lily, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here, Ryan. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's been long overdue. You've been more than gracious and patient where it's like, hey, Laura, when are we on the show? I'm like, you know what? That's a heck of a question. So I'm glad you were so persistent saying, come on, let's get on the show. But
well, after looking through the article list, I feel like it really worked out to my advantage because there's some interesting stuff to discuss today.
Yeah, Robert does a pretty good job of the list. And the Rob Rose and the top, he's done that curated list now for us for many years. And, there's some weeks where we go off the rails and don't really focus on it, but this week there is a good list of them. That's for sure. But some weeks. But
be a little bit more honest. Some weeks we get to
some of this. Okay, that might be more of an accurate statement. But Lily, the show is yours. Like I said, it's a privilege to have you on with us, and I've been dying to learn more about not only what you do in the company you've created, but I have one deep burning. How you have two assistants I got to deal with. You are a busy woman to have two assistants. Ed, do you have two assistants?
I have no assistants. Everyone else's assistant.
It might be that too. But no, Lily, please, a little. However much you'd like to tell us about you, your company, what you do, your organization, and anything else you would like to talk about today.
Absolutely. Well, just to make sure that we're all clear here, I technically only have one assistant, one marketing director.
Okay.
But yes, I'm really glad to be here, and just to kind of introduce a little bit about us for those who may not know us from the show. We are from Total Customized Revenue Management, also very well known as TCOM. I'm the CEO of the company, founded just about 7.5 years ago now. We're coming up on that anniversary here in December. And basically, we focus on all things revenue management, whether that's for education, consulting. We do a lot of task force for short-term needs. We do some outsourced revenue management for people who want a really high-quality service that's proactive and focuses on what's happening not just in the next 30 days, but in the next 12 months for their hotels. And so we really try to go above and beyond from a quality perspective, and that's sort of our claim to fame. Along with our focus on profitability metrics as opposed to just top-line revenue, and also our focus on total revenue management, which is still one of those unevolving sort of subjects in the hospitality industry, but trying to educate the industry more on that and helping hotels that are ready to launch into revenue management programs for their restaurants, their spas, their golf, all of those fun things.
Wow. Okay.
That's great. So what would you consider as the profile of the properties that you and your team shine most for?
We can do just about anything. We work with both brands and independents, but honestly, I feel like we can make the most impact for our full service clients. So we really primarily target full service, whether brands or independents. We have a nice mix of both. But when we're looking at a strategic assessment or a system audit or things like that, we really want to ideally work mostly with companies where we can make a huge impact on their revenues, right? So they'll work with anybody, of course, but typically we find that that's the best partnership that aligns with our goals and their goals, and that's really important to us.
Awesome. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, complexity creates opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. And so what made you decide to leave the comfort of employment and go out and be crazy and start your own company?
Well, honestly, back at the time when I founded the company, which was about 2012, I was getting a lot of calls from headhunters, and I was starting to understand, through my revenue management training, we're all about supply and demand, right? So the supply of talented revenue managers was low and the demand was high. And so I was looking at how can I really do this for more than just one or two hotels without being saddled with 15 hotels, because I really didn't feel like I could have a good impact with 15. but also for those of us in revenue management who have been around the block for a little while, we tend to get a little bit bored with only one or two hotels. And so I decided to just go out on my own. I figured if the demand was there, it might be a good time to test the waters. And I spent like my entire life savings in the first year to cover my expenses. But yeah, I think it's definitely been a good marriage of the demand that's out there. And I think that we go in waves, right? It kind of tapered off a little bit. Most of the revenue positions were filled there for a while, but as the industry is evolving and everything keeps changing and getting more complex, we're running into that same supply and demand again. So we're just struggling to find revenue managers who really go beyond pricing, and those top tier people command higher salaries. So that's why honestly we're the quality, not the low cost provider, because we look for those quality people and we're able to attract great talent because everybody works from a remote environment, which they love, and we have a great work-life balance kind of culture.
That's great.
Yeah, been a fun ride for sure.
I'm typing as people are commenting and stuff.
Okay.
I'm posting and commenting on to other people at the particular moment. What's that?
You want me to run the QA?
Why don't you do the QA for a little bit for me while I'm responding to people's typing through here real quick? I got distracted getting these people up.
So, what's your typical engagement look like? You had listed a couple of different scenarios that you guys shine in. So if there's a hotelier that's interested in understanding what's the best way to engage with you, what's kind of the general rule for someone net new who you haven't worked with?
Well, I like to honestly start with a strategic assessment. Not everybody always sees the value of that, but I actually just posted something about that today because we have an October sale on those. So fun little Halloween message there from TCRM. But the great thing about the strategic assessment is that it's a huge deep dive into every single aspect of what's going on for the property. So we look at U.S. industry trends, we look at their market trends, we look at things like airlift and office space and how those are affecting market demand. We love to include the CBRE Hotel Horizons report where that's available for a little extra analytics. Obviously, like you guys, we curate a lot of information from the industry so we know exactly what's going on. And then we also do a real deep dive into their competitive set. Number one, the comp set that they're actually using. And then number two, the comp set we think they should be using. If those two things don't happen to align for whatever reason, we'll look at both and kind of make a recommendation at the end of the day of who they should be paying attention to from a pricing standpoint or mix standpoint. And then we also go into really everything about their revenue strategy. So especially this time of year, it's a great time of year to do it, which is why we're running the sale, because if you look at what you set out to do, right, everybody creates a budget and a marketing plan for their hotels. In October, a lot of people are creating their budget and marketing plans for the next year, but they're not always looking back at what did I say I was going to do this year and did it actually happen? And if it didn't happen, what got in the way? And if it did happen, did I set my sights properly, or was there money left on the table more that we could have done because we've been more ambitious this year? And really understanding the performance year to date on all of those metrics is important to us as we look into what their opportunities are for future strategy. So we look a lot into that. Another thing that we focus on, as I had mentioned earlier, is profitability. So we're also looking at what is the cost of acquisition for each channel, what sort of marketing are they using in terms of their direct booking strategy or pay-per-click, different advertising through Google or through something like travel ads. What is that really doing to the bottom line? Is direct booking still your lowest cost channel after you've thrown 15 different things at it? Because we know that happens from time to time. And what's the ancillary spend, which a lot of people aren't focusing on either? Which channel brings you the most ancillary spend in a full service hotel? So we kind of look at all of those things as an aggregate. We also audit the system at a high level for any potential issues. And then we produce what's typically a 50 to 75 page report. But I think that also scares a few people off because when do they ever have time to read 50 to 75 pages, right? So we have this handy little summary at the end that says, okay, case you don't have time to get to all of this, here's the 5 key things that you need to focus on. Here's the order you need to focus on them. Here's when you should activate them in order to get the most revenue. And what we're also adding right now for 2020 with all of this talk about recession, right? All I'm hearing now is it's going to happen. Nobody knows when, but at some point it's going to happen. Really creating sort of an exit strategy. So I talked about this on another webinar not too long ago with Navis, and I likened it to an airline, right? Everybody wants to know how to get out of the plane if it's going down. Nobody really expects it to, but you've got to have that plan in place, because when you're nose down heading into the ocean is not the time to come up with a plan to get out of danger. So we feel that the same thing should be done right now for hotels as they look at 2020. So sure, base it on the current forecast, which is already pretty much flat from all of the major forecasting, your PKF and your CBRE, your STAR forecasts, all looking at kind of a plus or minus 1% on RevPAR. And I know one of our articles talks to that already happening for Hilton in Q4, that they're really seeing that flatten out. So base your budget and your marketing plan on the current environment for sure, but also have a plan ready to go in case the bottom falls out. Are you going to be the discounter to get occupancy? Are you going to hold your rate at possibly the expense of revenue while your competitors are discounting? Which competitors are most likely to kind of be the first ones down that hill of rate discounting? How are you going to react to that depending on who that competitor is and looking at all of those different things? So that's my best case scenario, because I really think it brings the most value to the client. But another one for, sorry, I'm just adjusting there. Another one for Q4 that we're coming up against a lot is vacant revenue management positions that we're just honestly doing task force for, because those people still in positions are probably holding out for their January bonus. So there's not as much movement right now, and we can kind of step in and seamlessly run everything for them. So they're able to get the right person in the door.
Near and dear to my heart is the combination of marketing and revenue management. You and I've had these conversations before. And yes, you have a great analogy about the plane crashing, and it's better to be prepared than it is to be forewarned in that sense, I guess. But how do you see, from knowing that this is going to happen and the preparations that you're talking about, and other than the reactions of your market, your competitive set and so forth, how do you see this being different in the sense of revenue management having more tools with its collaboration with marketing that it can maybe see a little farther in the future perhaps, or is it that you have more resources to better adapt the rate strategies and occupancy strategies that revenue management controls? I mean, how do you see that played differently this time than compared into previous histories of, oh my gosh, the world has come to an end, revenue goes this way, marketing goes this way, and hopefully we'll both survive or something?
Well, Lauren, that partly depends if they're sharing any information between the two different disciplines, which we still come across this all the time, that, there's all these great marketing tools that have analytic dashboards that revenue managers just drool over, right? Let's be honest, we're all about the analytics. And oftentimes a lot of the people on the marketing side may be more focused on the creative or the design or the high level strategy than the analytics. But also the revenue managers don't always get to see those analytic tools. It's the same way with sales tools. There's a lot of hotels that have Noland that never share that login or that information with their revenue managers. So I think that's the first thing, is really making sure that there is that integration now so that they can have a good effect. But you've got to have that conversation, because honestly, if marketing puts out a promo that targets all the dates that the revenue manager behind the scenes knew were going to perform well either way, you're leaving money on the table. And vice versa, right? They may not be targeting need periods where the revenue manager needs help. So we really encourage those two departments to work much more closely together. And obviously that's a little bit easier in an independent environment, but important for both brands and independents as well.
Well, and especially because marketing can be more effective the further in advance they know that there's potential softness.
Yes.
Right.
They can run longer burn, steady state marketing efforts, and can also report back, from time to time on how that's performing versus the soft time to potentially get a head start on, changing rate strategy.
Yes.
So you may find that you can, in certain soft periods, spend your way out of having to drop rate.